I'm guessing you don't know the song yet. The one we're going to sing. Can you give him a sheet? We sing this Jai Radha Madhava song before every class. Hey, not bad. How about the second line? Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara. Anyway, he's getting his sheet for you. Yeah, you are getting there. Very good. Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Mishpad Paramahansa Parudikacharya Ashtotar Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parudikacharya Ashtotar Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. So we are on page 622. 622. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 24th day of July 2018 in SanDiego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary, by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We are in chapter 16 entitled The Divine and Demoniac Natures. Text number 5, page 622. Daivi sampad vimokshaya nibandaya surimata mashucha sampadam daivim abhijato sipandava. Daivi sampad vimokshaya nibandaya surimata mashucha sampadam daivim abhijato sipandava. Daivi sampad vimokshaya nibandhaya surimata mashucha sampadang daivim abhijato sipandava Daivi sampad vimokshaya nibandhaya surimata mashucha sampadam daivim abhijato sipandava. Go ahead, Davis. Daivi sampad vimokshaya nabandhaya surimata mashuchak sampadang daivim abhijato sipandava. Go ahead, Marcy. Daivi sampad vimokshaya nibandhaya surimata mashucha sampadam daivim abhijato sipandava. No? You want to try it? Daivi sampad vimokshaya nibandhaya surimata mahashucha sampadam daivim abhijato sipandava. I'm sorry, your name again? Ernest. You want to try it, Ernest? Daivi sampad vimokshaya nibandhaya surimata mahashucha sampadam daivim abhijato sipandava. Not bad. Can you put that little sheet up on this little stand here for me? Thanks. Daivi, transcendental, sampad, assets, vimokshaya, meant for liberation, nibandhaya, for bondage, asuri, demoniac qualities, mata, are considered, ma, do not, shuchaha, worry, sampadam, assets, daivim, transcendental, abhijataha, born of, asi, you are, Pandava, O son of Pandu. Translation. The transcendental qualities are conducive to liberation, whereas the demoniac qualities make for bondage. Do not worry, O son of Pandu, for you are born with the divine qualities. Purport. Lord Krishna encouraged Arjuna by telling him that he was not born with demoniac qualities. His involvement in the fight was not demoniac because he was considering the pros and cons. He was considering whether respectable persons such as Bhishma and Drona should be killed or not. So he was not acting under the influence of anger, false prestige, or harshness. Therefore, he was not of the quality of the demons. For a Kshatriya, a military man, shooting arrows at the enemy is considered transcendental, and refraining from such a duty is demoniac. Therefore, there was no cause for Arjuna to lament. Anyone who performs the regulative principles of the different orders of life is transcendentally situated. Om jnana timirandasya jnanandana shalakaya chakshu unmidatam mena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So we're going on now with the description in the 16th chapter of the demoniac qualities. But here there's a slight interlude, and Krishna assures Arjuna that he doesn't have these demoniac qualities. And he points out that the divine qualities make for liberation and the demoniac qualities make for bondage. Now why is that? Because the divine qualities, if we recall those 26 qualities we read in text 1 to 3, they progressively help one to become detached from this world. That's what vimoksha is. Moksha means liberation from bondage to this world, which results in birth and death, old age and disease, around and around. Demoniac qualities, on the other hand, cause one to become more bound up in this world. You remember the first qualities he described, Dumbo, Darpo, Abhimanascha. So Dumba I described, it's pride, but it's pride born of hypocrisy. It's putting oneself in an unnatural position, or in a position that one really isn't. The beginning of all material life is forgetfulness of our real nature, that we're spiritual, not matter. As soon as we identify with this body, then we identify with the demands of the body and the needs of the body and the needs of the mind also. Mind is a very important aspect of the body. It's a subtle body. And inevitably we come in conflict with other human beings and even other living beings in general for what we consider to be our property, and we want to exploit this world. So all of this is exemplified in the extreme case by the demonic mentality, is that he'll describe asatyam apatishtam te, that they think there's no ultimate ground of, or no ultimate reality, asatyam. There's no absolute truth. We have this phrase, the absolute truth, which is the personality of Godhead, from which everything is coming, and who sets the standard of what's right and wrong. This is a very important. Dharma to sakshat bhagavat panita. So for the demon, there's no such force. Notice how Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa, Ravana, they're arch enemies of the personality of Godhead. The whole concept of there being someone superior to me who's controlling me is just anathema to them. They're a very being, and they're living entities like us. But they've been conditioned and controlled by these lower modes of nature to become enemies of God, enemies of the good, enemies of those who preach or try to follow religion. This is what we see. This is how far down the living entity can fall. So Krishna comes to this world in order to eradicate, when the demons become ascendant. Remember what it's described here in this fourth chapter. Yada yada hi dharma saglana bhavati bharata abhyutanam adharma siddhada manasam jamiham. Whenever and wherever there are discrepancies in religion or dharma, and an upsurge of irreligion, which means an upsurge of the influence of the asuras, the demons, at that time Krishna comes to protect the devotees, the righteous, to annihilate the demons, and to re-establish dharma. Now, annihilating doesn't mean that they're truly annihilated, because nobody dies. It's actually good for the demons to be killed by Krishna. It's good for them. They become purified. Nobody dies. You have to remember that. Nobody ever dies. But their influence, bad influence on the earth, can be stopped, and they're given a pure existence if they're killed by Krishna. So it's all good. God, whatever Krishna does, it's good. Although some people say, why me? Why has this happened to me? I went to church every day for the last 40 years, or every Sunday at least. I wasn't a saint, but this is too much. I lost all my money, I lost my wife, whatever, what I mean? It happens all the time. Prabhupada described the wives who sent their sons and brothers and fathers and husbands off to war in Germany. And they were all, pious. They were all Protestants. I don't know what, Lutherans probably. And they prayed every day, maybe more than once a day, for the safe return of their sons and brothers and fathers and husbands. But many of them didn't come back. And many of them lost faith. We're praying ardently, why does it happen? So this is the evidence of a misunderstanding of what actual religion is. That this world is a place of danger at every step. It's a place of suffering. Dukkali and Mashashvatam, Krishna certifies it. We can't really try to make a permanently happy and peaceful place here. It's just not going to happen. That said, Krishna wants there to be a righteous ruler. Why was the Mahabharata, this battle that's going to take place starting at the end of the book, right? When Arjuna says, Karjashe vachanam tava, I will do as you say, meaning I will fight. So then this big war takes place, resulting in the rule of Yudhishthira, righteousness personified, which was Krishna's purpose to begin with, right? But then the Kali Yuga comes in. And even though Yudhishthira was on the throne, as soon as Krishna leaves, then Yudhishthira and his brothers decide to go off to the Himalayas and forget about it. And then we're in the Bhagavatam, we're witness to the first stages where the sages are trying to do, what are we going to do? Kali Yuga is coming, it's the worst yuga. You know, Dharma becomes eclipsed. Where is Dharma preserved? And the answer is in the Bhagavatam. You know, there is light for those who want it. But still, we look around us and we see the confusion and the despair and the trouble, you know, in spite of all our technology, all of our science. It says people they're biting their fingernails. What's going to happen today? Every day the news is, you know, more disconcerting. So the point is that Krishna, he wants there to be peace and righteousness and dharma in the world, so that there more and more people can take up the process of real yoga, bhakti yoga, and escape from the suffering here. Because he never forgets us. He's always with us. That's right in the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is always with us as the Super Soul. Chapter 13, we read. Chaitra Gim Chapi Mam Vidhi. Sarva Chaitreshu Bharata. You should know that I am also the Chaitra Gya. Chaitra Gya simply means knower of the field being the body. This is where we live and react, in a sense. So God is with us in His plenary portion, the Super Soul, giving us intelligence, giving us knowledge, trying to guide us in the right way, and we're constantly forgetting and going off in our own way. So He comes externally as the books, as the teachers, as the pure souls to give us more chance. Sometimes He comes personally. So why does He keep doing that? Because He's concerned. He never stops caring. He says, Suridam Sarvabhutanam, in chapter 5, that I am the Surit of every living being. Sarvabhutanam. Now Surit, Prabhupada explains on one tape I listen to all the time. There's different levels of friends. Just like we have, you know, I have an acquaintance, I have friends, then I have bosom buddies. That's the closest surit. Bosom is a heart. Right? Someone who always has your welfare at heart. Really, you can't practically have that kind of friend in this world. There's always kind of a limit. You know, they'll let you stay at their apartment for 1 week, 2 months, but 3 months, you know, Prabhu, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? There's always a limit to the material friendship, but there's no limit to Krishna's friendship. Life after life, He's accompanying us. In the dog body, the insect body. It's so hot now. I don't know, does it bring out the insects? I've noticed more little ants. What a precarious life to be an ant. At any moment, you know, not just human beings, you can be crushed, you know what I mean? And you try to avoid, you know. But even in the ant body, there's the Super Soul guiding, go here, go to the sweet is over there, go that way. But patient. Infinitely patient. Yes, the ant body definitely dies. He accompanies the soul to the next body, up, to come to the human form. In the human form, there's a chance you can actually understand. And so, you know, he's coming externally as the devotees, as the books, and so that we can get in touch with this real knowledge. So part of that knowledge is to understand the contrast. You'll see that Krishna is always giving these contrasts. You know, on the one hand, you have the Sukatis, 4 kinds of pious people who approach me. On the other hand, Mami Partavibha, Namam Dushkritano Mudha. You have the Dushkritis, Sukatis, Dushkritis, the opposite. Pious and impious, who don't surrender unto me. So this is how he teaches, by contrast. So in this very chapter, we've had a whole list of Daivi Sampat, very saintly and purifying qualities. And now we're hearing of the contaminating qualities. So he starts off with the Dumbo Darpo Abhimanas, the hypocrites, the proud, the vain, always wanting, conceited. Notice that our key verse, Trinadapi Sunichena, Todoropi Amanina, Manadena, the word mana, Amanina means not wanting any honor. Is Abhimana, wanting very much honor. That's conceit, you know. Well, I should be honored. We're just reading about Daksha. Daksha was he's not a demon, but he was contaminated with this quality, and he suffered for it. So then he assures Arjuna, don't worry, you have the Daivi Sampat. Mashucha literally means don't worry. You're born with them. So Arjuna's come into a good family. He's the son of Indra. He's Krishna's intimate friend, so like that. All right, let's go on. Dval bhuta sargao lokesmin. You got the right page? Daiva asura evacha. Daivo vistara shakprokta. Asuram partameshanu. O son of Pritha, in this world there were two kinds of created beings. One is called divine and the other demoniac. I have already explained to you at length the divine qualities. Now hear from me of the demoniac. Purport. Lord Krishna, having assured Arjuna that he was born with the divine qualities, is now described in the demoniac way. The conditioned living entities are divided into two classes in this world. Those who are born with divine qualities follow a regulated life. That is to say, they abide by the injunctions in scriptures and by the authorities. One should perform duties in the light of authoritative scripture. This mentality is called divine. One who does not follow the regulative principles as they are laid down in the scriptures and who acts according to his whims is called demoniac or asuric. There is no other criterion but obedience to the regulative principles of scriptures. It is mentioned in Vedic literature that both the demigods and the demons are born of the Prajapati. Prajapati is Brahma. The only difference is that one class obeys the Vedic injunctions and the other does not. So, this seems a little extreme, you know. Isn't there like any little bit of a middle ground here, you know, just the asuras or the devotees? So, when we go into the verses describing the different levels of devotees, one of them is, it says, Ishureta radineshu balisheshu dvishatsu cha prema maitri kipopiksha yakaroti sa madhyama. We're trying to come to this madhyama platform. And the quality is that such a person regards four different categories of beings in different ways. Ishure, to the Lord, he tries to develop love. Prema. To devotees, friendship. To the innocent, he tries to show kindness and compassion by giving them Krishna consciousness. And to the vishatsu, the envious, he ignores them, he tries to avoid them. You see. So this gives a different categorization. You have, of course, the devotees there. Of course, Krishna is in a class by himself. He's not describing that. But among those who are not devotees, you have the innocent as well as the envious. The envious would be the demoniac, the sworn enemies of God. Those are the real, you know, dyed-in-the-wool demons. But then there's a whole bunch of people who, practically, they're not sworn enemies of God. They're just confused. You know, they don't know who they are. They're beset by so many troubles. They may have some religious inclinations, but they're basically confused. And this is what is innocent means, that they can be interested in Krishna. They might take a book. They might be a little curious, you know, which is to their great good fortune. They're not so opposed to God and their God servants as the out-and-out demons, exemplified by Kamsa, Hiranyakashipu, Ravan, etc. So, but here Krishna has made this sharp distinction, but the caveat is that the divine can become demonic and the demonic can become divine, because we should never forget that we're all originally Krishna's servants. We're coming from the spiritual world. This is Prabhupada's explanation of how we got here. You take the Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitam mam vishame bhavamudo. So he's praying. This is Lord Chaitanya praying. This is Krishna himself in the form of his devotee. O son of Nanda, Krishna, somehow have fallen down into this material world. into this horrible ocean of birth and death. Please lift me up and place me as an atom of your lotus feet. Meaning, please reinstate me in the position of service which I left. Our constitutional position is to be servants of Krishna. Jivera Swarupoi Krishnera Nityadas. Another statement by Krishna in the form of Lord Chaitanya. What is the real Swarup, or our original nature, is to be servants of Krishna. Where does that take place? In the spiritual world. So then, how did we get here? Somehow or other, we forgot Krishna. That's explained a few verses later. Krishna Buddhi se jiva nade bahimukha ate eva maya tare deya samsara dukkha. Somehow or other, the living entity, from time immemorial, anadi, bahimukha. Bahimukha is very graphic. You know what bahimukha means? Literally turning your back on Krishna. Turning your face away from Krishna. That's why, just to let you know, I have this peculiar pattern when we walk in the back here, that when we do our little back and forth during the kirtans. I like to follow this way, that way, that way. So you don't just hold your back to Krishna. Now, of course, we know we shouldn't sit with our back to Krishna. But the idea of standing with your back to Krishna, to me, doesn't seem that much different. So the idea is, that's how we got here. You know the whole thing in the Roman Colosseum, you turn your back on the Caesar and you're off with his head. Right? It's a very great disrespect. So turning away, literally, and therefore forgetting, that's the cause of our falling away here. What is that verse about fear? Bhayam. Causes great fear. When we're in... Hare Krishna. Welcome. We're in the spiritual world, but when we Isha Apetasya, Isha is the Lord, okay, that's Krishna. Apetasya, yeah, Prabhu, sit a little bit different. Do you got your whole family there? Actually, this is sit up front here. That's the ladies' corner over there. Singular lady. Oh, there's some more ladies. Okay, anyway, they can sit over here. We have darshan at 8:15. Okay, darshan's coming. Welcome. Have a seat. Yeah. You, male side, come up front. Ladies can sit back. Preserve some kind of protocol. So, how did we get here? It's described. This is 11th canto, the teachings of the 9 Yogendras. It's a very fearful situation. We're very peaceful, happily living in the spiritual world. We're safe. You're completely safe. There's no fear. There's no, you're at Krishna's lotus feet. But somehow or other we want to compete with God. We want to be God. We want to control and enjoy and be the master control. That's called Isha Apetasya. Turning away from the Isha. Viparyo smriti. Yeah, what? Both. Either one. So, this is the original, quote, original sin, so to speak. It's just turning away from God. And putting us and focusing our mind on what we think is separate from God, namely this world. There's nothing separate from God. It's all His energies. It's material energy, or we are spiritual energy. We have a special category called marginal energy. Marginal because we can be under the control of the internal energy, the spiritual world, pure love, eternal life, bliss. Or we can come under the control of this world. Means suffering, means birth and death, means dashed hopes. That's what this world is. Ever-changing, time. Can't get away from it. So, but we have the illusion of being independent, and for that we stay. And that can go on for many, many millions of lifetimes, different forms of life, not just human life. So, part of that sojourn that we've had is taking on this demonic mentality as human beings, being arch enemies of God. We're reading 16th chapter. It's about the divine and demoniac. So here Krishna says there's two basic divisions here in human life. And that is the devotees, those who recognize their subordination to the Lord, and those who deny the existence of God and become arch enemies of God. Now there's broad, gradations within each, but that's the general point. And Krishna, as Lord Chaitanya especially, he wants to make the demoniac into the divine, because it's all a question of mentality. Originally, naturally, intrinsically, we're all divine. That's the good news. We're spirit. We're pure, and Krishna is Supreme Spirit. You can't break the relationship. You can only forget it. And we've forgotten it. And so the whole process of Krishna consciousness is remembering. Reminding and remembering and coming to the point that we once were. Reviving our original nature as Krishna servants. So part of it is understanding what we've been through and what we want to avoid, and that's this demonic mentality. Denying the existence of God. You'll see, it becomes very graphic here. Yeah. Yeah.
It seems like it feeds this mentality of us and them and that. And I'm not questioning Krishna's decision to speak like this, yeah, but it seems like it lends itself to that kind of mentality where people, maybe they're externally following, but in their heart they've got demoniac qualities and they're proclaiming, I'm in the good food.
Yeah, yeah.
So, as you're bringing out this motivation.
And the point is, you're never, branded as an eternal demon. No matter what you do, you're a demon and you're condemned, eternal hell. There, Krishna doesn't. He gets pretty heavy at the end of the chapter, but he gives us, look, it's in your hands. If you can do the right thing, you can escape from the gates to this hellish life, which is lust, anger, and greed. He describes at the end. I did this last night. We were discussing it. Yeah. So nothing is set in stone. The whole point is, I described. I don't know. I forget if you were here last night. But you remember how when I first read this chapter, before I even heard of the Hare Krishnas, I read the little Bhagavad Gita. A little. What is it called? Penguin edition, And I came across this chapter and said, well, that's pretty much like me. That's where I'm at, expert at insulting others. And I was raised as a total atheist, I remember, Krishna forgive me, I was not 5 years old, maybe I was 10 years old. And I just wanted to test if there was a guide, so I cursed God, if you're up there, strike me down. And nothing happened. I said, well, that proves it. There's no God, But it's foolish. But the point was, I was being raised as a nice little demon, But somehow, didn't work out, luckily. So the whole thing is fluid. You can become purified. Even the demons who were killed by Krishna in the books, they're becoming exalted. What was Uddhava's song? His famous verse. Ho bhikiyam kalakalakutam jigyaksayayapyayad asadvi lebe kitim jatachitam katonyo kambadayalam shadanam vajema. He says that how wonderful it is that Krishna, although Putana had smeared her breast with this horrible poison to kill a little child, to my mind, she's the worst demon. Killing children and drinking their blood, that's pretty bad. Even in today's world, that would get you, a lot of news coverage. And she came with the evil intent, even if she was disguised as a beautiful woman. So Krishna, he sucked out her life along with this poison. He wasn't harmed. She was killed. She returns to her horrible form, But what actually happened to her? She was given a place in the spiritual world. Mostly they just get liberation, which is enough blessings. But she was actually given a place on the level of his mother because she'd suckled him. He said he forgot about all the intent in this. He did. So a perfect example of being purified of your demonic tendencies and immediately being exalted. And so we're in that situation. But Krishna's, so we can see, he's giving a stark division here, and he's warning us, don't develop those demonic qualities. They lead to suffering and condemnation like that. All right. Yes. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. The devotee, the scripture, the guru, everything is necessary. All right, next verse is actually very significant. They're all significant, but this one strikes me. Pravritting cha navritting cha janana vidurasara na shaucham na pichacharo na satyam teshu vidyate. Those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. Neither cleanliness nor proper behavior nor truth is found in them. Purport. In every civilized human society there is some set of scriptural rules and regulations which is followed from the beginning, means from childhood, should be. Especially among the Aryans, those who adopt the Vedic civilization and who are known as the most advanced civilized peoples, those who do not follow the scriptural injunctions are supposed to be demons, said to be demons. Therefore, it is stated here that the demons do not know the scriptural rules, nor do they have any inclination to follow them. Most of them do not know them, and even if some of them know them, they have no tendency, not the tendency to follow them. They have no faith, nor are they willing to act in terms of the Vedic injunctions. The demons are not clean, either externally or internally. One should always be careful to keep his body clean by bathing, brushing teeth, shaving, changing clothes, etc. As far as internal cleanliness is concerned, one should always remember the holy names of God and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The demons neither like nor follow all these rules for external and internal cleanliness. As for behavior, there are many rules and regulations guiding human behavior, such as the Manu Samhita, which is the law of the human race. Even up to today, those who are Hindu follow the Manu Samhita. Laws of inheritance and other legalities are derived from this book. Now, in the Manu Samhita, it is clearly stated that a woman should not be given freedom. That does not mean that women are to be kept as slaves, but they are like children. Children are not given freedom, but that does not mean that they are kept as slaves. The demons have now neglected such injunctions, and they think that women should be given as much freedom as men. However, this has not improved the social condition of the world. Actually, a woman should be given protection at every stage of life. She should be given protection by the father in her younger days, by the husband in her youth, and by the grown-up sons in her old age. This is proper social behavior according to the Manu Samhita. But modern education has artificially devised a puffed-up concept of womanly life, and therefore marriage is practically now an imagination in human society. The social condition of women is thus not very good now, although those who are married are in better condition than those who are proclaiming their so-called freedom. The demons, therefore, do not accept any instruction which is good for society, and because they do not follow the experience of great sages and the rules and regulations laid down by the sages, the social condition of the demoniac people is very miserable. Well, there we have it. So Srila Prabhupada is giving us the ideal here as expressed in the Manu Samhita. In this modern society, it's a fact. If you look at the graphs of the last 10 years, marriage is actually declining. And what is marriage? Marriage means a kind of a religious recognition of a union. There is a certain sanctity to it, a certain idea of laws. It's not just some union of convenience. And so without that, we can see the havoc created. You know, when a child grows up and is divorced, it's a tremendous emotional blow. And the sense of security and steadiness is lost. You know, it's not good for society. So this whole modern society, and what to speak of where you know, it's practically impossible to live a decent middle-class life unless both parents work, isn't it? I mean, maybe you're good fortune, you don't have to do that. But so many millions. And what happens to the little children? They're taken care of by some stranger. As good as the daycare may be, it's not the same as having the mother there. And this is what Arjuna was afraid of at the very beginning of the book. where he was afraid that, well, if I fight this battle and I kill all these men, what's going to happen to their wives? They'll be unprotected, and they'll be varna sankara, meaning that the children will grow up without proper care, and so forth, so many things. So that was a big concern. And the basic principle here is pravritim cha nivrittim cha. The asuras, they don't know how to act properly for their own best interests or the interests of society, and they don't know what to refrain from doing. Both of those are necessary. Just like we have in the Krishna consciousness, Rupa Goswami has given us these 6 characteristics of surrender. Anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjanam. Those are the first 2, and they can be applied to any discipline. Accepting that which is favorable and rejecting that which is unfavorable. So first of all, you have to set the goal properly. You know, if your goal is, well, I want to become a car mechanic. All right, then there's certain things you have to do. You have to go and hang out with the car mechanics. You have to get the right tools. You know, and there's certain things you shouldn't do. You know, sleep too much. I mean, just ignore. You know, in other words, there's a do's and don'ts for any discipline you want. What to speak of Krishna consciousness? But if you don't know the right goal, and you don't know how you can actually be happy, then how can you know what to do and what not to do? You're going to just do those on your own whims, on whatever feels good. You know, that was the motto of the hippies. Whatever feels good, do it. You know, and unfortunately, many of them, you know, got off into LSD, never came down. So many, you know, mothers with children without fathers, with all the free sex, and what to speak of the diseases, you know, and you get old, you know. Maybe it's nice to be a hippie if you're 18 years old, but how long can you be 18 years old? The 60-year-old. In other words, there's no real freedom. You know, you try to be free, but then you find yourself bound up, you know, by the nature of the material world. Real freedom is following the laid out rules that can give you the ultimate freedom, breaking the bondage to material body. That's the goal. Everything else is secondary. Everything else is it's worth sacrificing, you know, everything else for that, and not just liberation, but return to the spiritual world. So how do we, you know, then there's the process of cleanliness, shaucham. Now our whole process is going to be defined in terms of cleanliness. It's actually purifying. We're purifying not just our physical nature, but our thoughts, our emotions. Everything is meant to be purified. But external purity is important because there's something called the modes of nature. And dirt is evidence of the mode of ignorance and will produce the mode of ignorance. You know, physical dirt. If you don't bathe for 2 days, you're going to be much more prone to the mode of ignorance. Have you ever tried it? Or sometimes when you travel, you know, you can't bathe properly. And you say, you know, the first thing you want to do when you get to Mayapur is take a bath in the Ganges, you know. You've just been on an airplane and a bus and you know, in a car ride. That car ride is, you know, for hours. You remember? I mean, take a bath, you know. So that, you know, external cleanliness is important, but most important is the internal cleanliness, the chanting of the holy name and all the other processes. It's a process of becoming clean and staying clean. Krishna is the purest of the pure. If you want to associate with Krishna, you have to be pure. Now, being in touch with Krishna purifies you automatically. But still, it's necessary to renew that cleanliness every day and stay clean. Otherwise, the dirt can come in. And that means the modes of nature, and that means... so all of these things are, you know, nashaucham, uncleanliness, and the chacharo, the proper behavior, isn't there? Yeah?
So, what if you're not, like, on the level to associate with Krishna, but you're on, like, is there a level where you're associate with, like, Shiva, for instance, or something, but you're not, like...
No, there's no bar. In other words, you're completely... What's your name? Alex? You're totally eligible to chant Hare Krishna. And when you chant Hare Krishna, you're associating with Krishna. Everyone's eligible. It's a natural thing. You don't have to go to Shiva. Shiva is nothing but Krishna in a certain function.
Yeah, so what is it?
Yeah, you read the Bhagavad Gita, you see it's for everybody. There's nobody barred. The worst demon, Lord Chaitanya showed in this age, that in previous ages, he said here, I come to annihilate the miscreants and to reinstitute Dharma-protected devotees. This is like in Dwapara Yuga, this is the previous Yuga. But this is Kali Yuga. Everybody. I mean, where do you find the saints and sages? There's a few in the Hare Krishnas. But I mean, relatively speaking, we're way outnumbered. So, there's a nice pastime. When Lord Chaitanya revealed his Sankirtan pastimes, chanting Hare Krishna in Navadvip, and this is in Bengal near Calcutta. So then he had his two main lieutenants go out and preach Krishna consciousness. And they would go out, Nityananda and Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur was a Muslim who converted to not Hinduism, but Vaishnavism, became Namacharya, chanting Hare Krishna. This was a great disturbance to the Muslim leaders at the time. That's another story. But after all that was settled, he was settled there in Mayapur, and he would go out with Nityananda, Lord Chaitanya's brother-in-arms, so to speak. And they would simply ask the people, please chant Hare Krishna. They had a mantra, Bolo Krishna, Bodo Krishna, Koro Krishna Shika. Chant Shri Krishna's name and worship him with all your heart, follow his instructions, and to others them impart. That's it. You see? And so they would meet people. But then they came across two representatives of what we call Kali Yuga, Jagai and Madhai. They were fallen Brahmins. They weren't out-and-out demons, but they had fallen from Brahminical culture. And they were acting demonically. They were thieves, they were drunkards, they would insult people and everything, and they would get a wide berth. People would walk around them. So Nityananda decided, these are perfect representatives of Kali Yuga. If we can get them to chant, it'll be great credit for Lord Chaitanya. He wasn't thinking of that. So he approached them, and one of them, Madai, says, who is this? They're all these drunk. They're always drinking wine. He said, you're telling me to chant? He threw well, first of all, they insulted them and started running after them. And they were drunk. They couldn't catch them. Eventually they fell down and started fighting with each other. And Nityananda and Haridas ran away. But the next day, they went back again to the same place. And Haridas said, why are you doing this? You can't. He says, yeah, I have to do this. So he went to approach and said, please chant Hare Krishna. Follow Krishna's instructions. Give up your demoniac ways. So what? So he threw a big pot, a shard at Nityananda and injured him. The blood started flowing like anything. And then he picked up again to hit him again, and Jagai came to his senses, and he held up his hand. Stop. He's a saintly person, So Nityananda said, I don't care if I'm bleeding. It's okay, please chant Hare Krishna. Meanwhile, Lord Chaitanya had heard about it, and he came with his chakra as Krishna, ready to annihilate this Madhai because he had struck Nityananda. But Nityananda stopped him, said, no. These are perfect examples of all the Kali Yugites. If you kill them, then you can't, there's no more preaching. Plus, Jagai protected me. So he says, oh, he protected you? Okay, then I give you my grace. Meanwhile, they were like paralyzed because they saw the chakra, which is invincible. So Jagai had already bowed down. He says, please, deliver me. So Lord Chaitanya says, yes, because you saved Nityananda. You stop sinning now, and you're completely delivered. He says, okay. And Madhai said, oh, I'll do the same thing. He said, no. You have to get your deliverance from Nityananda, forgiveness. So he bowed down, fully and said, please forgive me, I'll be good. And so it says, from now on, if you don't sin anymore, you should be regarded, you should all regard them as the same, on the same level as all my other devotees. And they became great devotees. So this is the Sankirtan movement. Nobody is barred, everybody is welcome, but it means you need to, chant Hare Krishna and follow the program. Then you can become an intimate associate of Krishna. You don't have to worry about Shiva. Shiva is also worshipping Krishna. So if you worship Shiva, he'll tell you, please worship Krishna. So that's how you can honor Krishna, Shiva.
So
What do you want to do? You want to get rich? You want to go to heavenly planets? You want to become powerful and strong? No, yeah, I know you do, but that's a mistake. That's the whole point. We just want Krishna. And you also just want Krishna underneath all of those other desires. Look, there's a good part of the Vedas which we don't follow. The Karma Kanda section, how to go to the heavenly planets, how to develop the mystic powers, casting spells. No, we don't follow that. That's left behind. We follow Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad Purana, the essence of the essence. That's how you really become happy. There's so many examples. You read the Srimad Bhagavatam of great yogis and mystic yogis, who eventually they were defeated by Krishna, or they became destroyed. So don't go that route. Okay. So we only have 2 minutes left. So tomorrow we'll begin with text 8. And this I consider this one of the key verses in this chapter, Satyam Bhattishnam thing. But we'll leave that for tomorrow. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Yeah.
Yes. Did you hear my yeah. That's what I used to say.